Hello students, in last class we discussed addition and subtraction of vectors. We talked about parallelogram law, polygon law and triangle law of addition, right. So, I have written some of the summary of what we discussed in last class. So, we can say that whenever we have two vectors join head to tail, so you can just understand it in terms of displacement, right. That is what I told you to correlate it with, right. So, if you move from here to here and then from here to here, you have effectively moved from here to here. So, that would be the resultant. So, this displacement plus this displacement should be equal to this displacement. So, whenever you need to add vectors, so think of that in terms of displacement, even in the case of polygon law. So, for example, if you have started from here and you have traveled in this direction, first displacement, second displacement, third displacement, and eventually you have reached here. So, just visualize it in this manner, you are moving like this, you are moving like this, and then you have reached here, right. So, it should be a continuation. So, head and tail should be joined in this manner. So, in such a case, this will be the resultant vector, correct. So, that is the basic idea. And in the case of parallelogram law of vectors, we know that whenever two vectors are placed in the adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the diagonal which passes between them will give us the sum of the two vectors. So, this would be a bar plus b bar, and the other diagonal will be either a bar minus b bar or b bar minus a bar, depending on which direction you put the arrow mark. So, in this case I have taken the direction like this, which means like this, right. So, here this would be a bar minus b bar, clear, because you can see this vector plus this vector will be this vector. I hope you can see the arrow marks here. So, this is in this direction, this is in this direction. So, if you go continuously, think of it in terms of displacement. So, if you move from here to here and then from here to here, you have effectively moved from here to here, right. So, in this case, so this is b bar, this is, so you can understand this as b bar plus this vector would be a bar minus b bar. So, that would be equal to minus b bar and b bar will get cancelled and you will get a bar, right. So, that is the idea. So, this is what we have discussed. We know the resultant, the magnitude of resultant vector, the angle that it makes with one of the vectors, and also the range that the resultant vector can have, right. So, these are the points which we have discussed, and same is the method we use for analyzing subtraction also. The only thing is that for subtracting b bar from a bar, all we need to do is add minus b bar to a bar, and the concept is exactly the same. And we also discussed the angle. If the angle between a bar and b bar is theta, then angle between a bar and minus b bar is 180 minus theta, correct. So, based on that you can add a bar with minus b bar and find the difference of these two vectors, right. This is what we have discussed in last class. Okay. So, let us see few points, very simple points about addition and subtraction, and then we will move on to the next topic. So, one thing we can say about addition is that addition of vectors is closure, commutative and associative. So, I guess you would have come across these terms in your lower classes. You would know what the meaning of that is also: closure property, commutative property and associative property, right. So, vector addition is going to follow all these three properties. I will give you a brief idea what this means. So, first thing, closure property means that when I add two vectors a bar plus b bar, what I get here will also be a vector, clear. So, closure property means that. So, two vectors when added also gives a vector, that is very obvious, right. So, that is what we mean by closure property. Now, commutative property basically means that when you are adding two vectors, it does not matter which order you add them. So, a bar plus b bar will be equal to b bar plus a bar. See, do not just look at it in terms of as an equation. If you look at it as an equation, you will not get the actual feel of what that means. So, think of it in terms of displacement, right. I have told you that all additions can be understood very easily by using displacement. So, think of it like this. So, if I am starting from here and I am traveling like this, I have reached this point. So, this is my first displacement and this is my second displacement. So, in this particular scenario, can I say that from my starting point, this vector towards the end point or the final destination, right. So, this would be my resultant vector or the displacement, net displacement, correct. So, if this is let us say A bar and this is B bar are my two displacements. So, first I have travelled along A, then B, I have reached here. So, this is my net displacement. So, what this means is that, so you can add those displacement, you can travel in a different manner also to get the same displacement. So, first if you travel along B bar and then along A bar, even then you will reach the same position. If you want, you can check. So, from this position, let us say instead of traveling along the vector A bar first, if I travel along the vector B bar, correct. So, if I travel along the vector B bar, let us say like this. So, first I have taken a displacement of B bar, then I take a displacement of A bar, correct. So, this is B bar and this is A bar. So, even in this case, can I say that the net displacement will be the same as the earlier case displacement. So, in whichever order you are getting you are adding your displacement, it does not matter, right. So, that is what this means. So, A bar plus B bar is equal to B bar plus A bar. Okay. So, the third one is associative property, right, or associative law. So, you can write it like this: A bar plus B bar plus C bar is equal to A bar plus B bar plus C bar. Clear? So, this also is once again an addition, or you can say that a next step of this understanding itself. Clear? So, whichever way we have understood this, you can understand this also in the same manner. So, whenever we have two vectors, whenever we have three vectors, let us say, so you can say that the net displacement or the resultant of three vectors can be understood by first taking the resultant of two vectors, right, and then adding that with the next vector in any order. You can take 2 and 3 and add that with the 1. First take the resultant of 2 and 3 and then add that with 1, or 1 and 2 and then add that with the third one, or you can also say that you can add A bar plus C bar first and then that resultant you can add with B bar. Clear? So, that is what we mean by associative law, right. So, students, now we will discuss about components of a vector, right. So, we know how to add vectors, right. So, for example, let us say earlier we have discussed about if we have two vectors A bar and B bar, then let us say this vector is C bar, which is the resultant of those two. So, we would write C bar is equal to A bar plus B bar. Now, components of a vector basically means the parts of a vector, right. So, if for example, if you have any object, so any machine or something, we have different components in that. When I put all of them together, it forms that particular machine, right. So, in the same manner, if I ask you what are the components of this vector C bar, we say that A bar and B bar are the components of C bar. Clear? So, in this case, A bar and B bar are components of C bar. Clear? So, components basically means all those vectors when added should give you your original vector. Clear? So, C bar is the resultant of A bar and B bar, and A bar and B bar are the components of C bar. So, it is just the opposite of resultant. Clear? Resultant means adding them, components means you are breaking them down into A bar and B bar. Clear? So, this is what we will be doing in this complete topic. Clear? So, till now we have added the vectors, now we will be breaking down a given vector. So, we will be understanding how to break it down into different parts. Clear? And we have few methods for how to break it down and how to represent that in a simple form. So, which is what we will be learning. Clear? So, basically components means breaking a vector. In this case, I am breaking down this vector C bar into A bar and B bar. Is that clear, students? Okay. So, for example, let us say they have given In this particular case itself, if you see, A bar and B bar are the two components of C bar, right. So, now here we will be defining another term called rectangular components. Rectangular components. So, rectangular components are those components which have a specific property. For example, once again if I take the vector C bar, so if this is the vector C bar, if I divide that C bar into two components and if those two components are perpendicular to each other. So, let me show that here. So, if this is one vector, let us say, and if this is the other vector, you can easily say that these two vectors are the components of C bar, obviously, because this plus this will give me C bar, right. And if you observe, these two are perpendicular to each other as well. So, which means this vector, let us call them as P bar and this one as Q bar, and let us call this as R bar, right. So, P bar plus Q bar is equal to R bar in this case. Clear, students? So, in this case we can say that P bar and Q bar are rectangular components of R bar. So, a very simple definition, right. Components means they can have any angle. So, you can even write this C bar as this vector plus this vector plus this vector plus this vector also, correct. So, you can write C bar, you can say that this is, let us say, x vector, y vector, z vector, w vector, correct. And you can say that x plus y plus x bar plus y bar plus z bar plus w bar is equal to C bar. So, all these will also be the components of C bar. But if I write a vector as a sum of two components or three components which are all mutually perpendicular to each other, then we say that those components are rectangular components. Clear? So, in this case, remember that the components should be mutually perpendicular. The components should be mutually perpendicular. Clear, students? Which means all the components should make 90 degrees with the other components. So, if you divide a vector into such type of components, so those components are what we call as rectangular components, and this process of breaking down a vector into rectangular components is called resolving a vector. Resolving a vector. So, it is nothing but it. So, do not worry about this term. So, it is nothing new. So, whatever we have discussed here, the same thing, it is just a name for it. So, resolving a vector means breaking down into rectangular components. Breaking down into rectangular components. Clear, students? So, now we will see what is the method, how do we break, if a vector is given to us, how do I break it into rectangular components, or in simple terms, how do I resolve a vector. Clear? So, let us understand the resolution of a vector. Clear? So, students, resolution of vector. So, I have a vector here, a vector A bar which is having a magnitude of A, and you can see its direction. So, now I need to break down this vector into rectangular components. So, because we need to break down into components which are perpendicular, what I will do is I will take x axis and y axis as my reference. So, what I am going to do now is, I know that x and y are perpendicular to each other, correct. So, I am going to break down this vector into two components, one along x axis and the other one along y axis. So, this is y and this is x. Do you understand what I am saying? So, if I break this down into two vectors, one of which is here along this direction and the other one along this direction, they will anyways be perpendicular to each other, correct. So, that is what I am going to do, right. So, the magnitude of this vector is A, and let us consider that this vector is making an angle of theta with positive x axis. So, now let us break down this vector. So, observe carefully what I am doing. I am going to write this vector as one vector which is along the x axis, which would be this, So, this vector plus I will take another vector which is along y axis and I will draw it parallelly over here. So, these are the two vectors, clear. So, if I name this vector as a bar, let us name this as ax bar, which means the component of a along x, and let us name this as ay bar. Is that clear, students? So, this is how we would be understanding. You can clearly understand, right? This vector plus this vector will obviously give you this vector, and you can also see from the diagram that these two are perpendicular to each other. So, that is the method which we will be following, and it is a very simple method. So, if you have to understand how to break it down into components, let me draw a diagram once again. See, the idea is pretty simple. First, take the two perpendicular directions along which you have to resolve, clear, and then all you need to do is from the tip of this vector drop a perpendicular onto one of the axis. So, that I am dropping a perpendicular. Dropping a perpendicular means drawing a line which makes an angle of 90. So, I will drop a perpendicular in this manner onto one of the axis, clear. I will drop another perpendicular onto other axis, clear. So, from here I will drop a perpendicular onto this axis as well. So, I got 2 points. So, draw two vectors till there. So, this is one vector and this is the other vector, clear. So, this vector is what we call as ax and this vector here is what we call as ay. If I call this as x axis and this as y axis, clear. So, a very simple method for resolving. So, what I did here is also the same. So, instead of drawing the vector here, so because we have been used to understanding it by using triangle law of addition, so instead of drawing it here I have drawn it here, clear. So, you can understand it both ways. So, you can say that this is nothing but parallelogram law of addition and this is triangle law of addition. So, whichever way you understand it, it is the same, right, addition of vectors. So, this vector plus this vector is going to give you this vector eventually, right. So, that is the idea. So, in this case I can write the vector a bar as ax bar plus ay bar, clear. So, these two are the rectangular components. Okay, you might get a doubt, why do we need to break down a vector into rectangular components unless and until there is any use. So, there are many uses of breaking down into rectangular components. So, it is going to help us understand vectors in a very simplified manner, right. So, once discussing rectangular components and breaking down into rectangular components, you will see that all the earlier concepts which we have studied, additions, subtractions and all that will become very simple. We can easily add vectors, we can easily subtract vectors, we can easily visualize vectors and how to operate with vectors. So, everything will become simple by understanding this concept properly, right. So, let us see that now. So, for example, in this particular scenario, let us say they have given a vector like this. Let us consider that this vector has a magnitude of 10 units and this is making an angle of 45 degrees, right, 45 degrees with x axis. So, now I need to I ask you to break down this vector into rectangular components. So, as I told you earlier, first drop perpendicular onto both. So, which means you are basically constructing a parallelogram, right. So, with that as the diagonal, that is the idea, right. Diagonal will give you the resultant of these two vectors and that is what we need to find out here. So, I am constructing a parallelogram. In this case that is a rectangle because we are trying to find rectangular components. So, this is one component and this is the other component. So, if this vector is named a bar, so they will ask you a question like this, write vector a bar as its rectangular components, or they will just ask you to resolve the vector. So, in any case this is the method you will be following. So, we have two vectors like this, right. So, if you want to do it this way, you can translate it to this position, you know that translating a vector is not going to change the value of the vector, correct? Okay. So, now I need to represent a bar. So, please observe carefully, we have just understood that a bar is ax bar plus ay bar, this vector plus this vector is this vector, we have seen that, right. So, now how do I write this vector? How do I write ax bar? So, it is pretty simple. If I know the magnitude of this vector, I can easily write that vector, because I know this direction, I know the unit vector in this direction. I have told you during the first class that a unit vector in this direction is represented with I cap. So, if there is a vector of magnitude 1 in this direction, we represent it as I cap, correct. And similarly, a vector which is in this direction having a magnitude of 1 is represented as j cap, correct. So, I will use the help of those unit vectors to write this down, clear. So, let us do that. So, first of all I need to do here is find this length and this length, correct. Let us calculate. So, you know that you can easily see the rectangle, I mean the right angle triangle which is formed there, and this is 10, this is 45. You can easily say that this length will be how much? Just make a triangle separately like this. So, this angle here is 45 degrees, this length is 10. I am asking you this length, this is adjacent and this is opposite, correct. So, you know how to write, right? Cos theta, if you write cos 45, you will get adjacent. If you write sin 45, you will get the opposite length, and you find out the values of that. I will directly write down the expressions. I want you to understand what the values of adjacent and opposite are. So, I hope you can easily do that, right? Okay. So, if I do that, I would be getting this length as 5 root 2 and this length as 5 root 2, clear. So, do that. Okay. Now, this is a vector, this Ax is a vector of magnitude 5 root 2 along I cap. So, how do I write it? We know this already, right? I will write it as 5 root 2 I cap, 5 root 2 into I cap, that is what it means. So, I am multiplying I cap with a scalar 5 root 2, which means its magnitude will become 1 into 5 root 2, which is 5 root 2, that is what it means, clear. Now, plus ay bar. What is ay bar? Ay bar also has a magnitude of 5 root 2, correct, and it is along y direction, positive y direction. So, how do I write this? I would write this as 5 root 2 into j cap or 5 root 2 j cap, that is it. So, this is a bar, and representing a bar in this manner basically means writing it in its component form. So, we call this as component form or rectangular component form. So, representing it in terms of its rectangular components, very simple, right? All you need to do is drop perpendicular, use trigonometry, basic trigonometry, draw a triangle, apply sin theta, cos theta parameters and find these lengths and write them in I cap and j cap terms, clear. Let us quickly see one more example. Let us resolve one more vector, right. So, this time let us consider that the vector is like this, it is like this, okay. And let us say this is the x axis and this is the y axis. So, this is y and this is x. So, obviously, you can see that the vector is below the x axis, correct. So, which means if I resolve this into components by dropping perpendicular. So, I am first dropping a perpendicular like this, and onto the y axis as well if I drop a perpendicular like this. So, from the tail till the projection onto the x and y axis, I will draw two vectors. So, one vector will be like this, correct, and the other vector will be like this. That is it. So, you will now have to represent these two vectors, and the sum of these two vectors is our original vector, correct. So, this time let us do it for a general case scenario, right. So, let us say, or not a general case, let us take values, we will do general case next. So, let us say this angle is 30 degrees and this vector has a magnitude of some 6 units, clear. So, the magnitude of that is 6 and it is making 30 degrees below the x axis. Now, let us resolve this. So let's call this vector as P bar. So how do I write P bar? Let me write it down here itself. P bar is equal to, now what is this length? So please remember one thing, when you need to find this length, when you observe here, I can say that adjacent, what did I write here? Adjacent by hypotenuse is equal to cos 45, correct? That is how we calculated adjacent here, which means adjacent is hypotenuse into cos 45. In the same manner, in this case also can I say that for this triangle, adjacent will be hypotenuse into cos 30. Do you understand that? Same idea. If you want, you can write it as a separate step, but here I will directly write it. You please understand how I am writing it. So, I am telling you once again, hypotenuse, which is our actual vector, actual vector's magnitude into cos 30 will give me this length. So, if let us say this is P cos 30. So, whenever you are moving by 30 degrees, the component of that in that direction will have a magnitude of P cos 30, or if it is theta, P cos theta, clear. So, what is that? 6 cos 30 degrees, and you know that this is anyways in the I cap direction. So, into I cap plus, now what is this magnitude? Now, you can once again say that similar to that logic, can I say that this length here can be found out by using hypotenuse into sin 30. Do you understand what I am saying? This length into sin 30 will give me this length in this right angle triangle, correct? So, I will directly write it down. So, that would be 6 sin 30 into, what is the direction of this vector? Do not blindly write j cap every time. So, look at in which direction the component it is downwards, right? This is our positive y axis. So, the vector here, the component here is below, downwards. So, I should be taking it as minus j cap. That is it. So, if you want, you can simplify that further. So, you would be getting this as P bar is equal to cos 30. Do you know the value of cos 30? It is root 3 by 2. So, 6 into root 3 by 2 will give me 3 root 3. Here sin 30 is 1 by 2. So, 6 into 1 by 2 will give you 3 into minus j cap. If you want, you can write it as plus 3 into minus j cap, or you can also write it as 3 root 3 I cap minus 3 j cap. So, both are the same. Clear, students? So, that is how we resolve a vector. So, we will see a few more. So, students, let us now write it in a general form, right. So, a vector having a magnitude A making an angle of theta with positive x axis. So, this is x axis positive direction, and this is positive y direction. So, this is the general expression which we are going to write down for any vector having a magnitude A making an angle theta. Okay. Now, the idea is once again the same, perpendicular, this is one component, and you can directly say that this would be the other component, correct. So, think of it in terms of displacement, this plus this will be this. So, these two are also perpendicular. So, these are rectangular components. Now, let us write this in component form now. So, A bar is equal to, I have just told you earlier that if this length is A, what will this length be? So, you are moving in the direction of theta. So, obviously, you will be getting a cos term here. If you want, you can write it. If let us say I call this length as some adjacent. So, what is the value of cos theta? Adjacent by hypotenuse. So, adjacent by hypotenuse A is equal to cos theta. So, what is the value of adjacent? A cos theta, right. So, A cos theta, and obviously this is in the I cap direction, right, plus, now what is this length? In the same manner, if this is A cos theta, if this length here corresponds to A cos theta, by using a similar method, can I say this length will be A sin theta? So, that is it. So, A sin theta j cap. Clear, students? So, that is the general form of a vector when written in its components form. Clear? So, now let us see a quick resolution of this vector. See, this is something, this triangle is something which will be using quite frequently. Some of you must have known the value also. So, let us consider that we have a vector like this having a magnitude of 10 units and making an angle of 37 degrees with the positive x axis, correct. So, let us say this is how the vector is. Now, okay, if I have to resolve this, so once again if I drop a perpendicular, this is one component and this is the other component. So, obviously if I have to resolve, I need to know the values of cos 37 and sin 37. I hope you all know this, or even if you do not know, no problem, I will give you the result. So, please remember this, this is something which we will be using quite frequently, clear. So, let me draw that again. Okay. So, let us consider a triangle like this, so where the angle is 37. So, this 37 degrees, if this is 37, we can say that this will be 53 degrees, correct. So, this 37 degrees triangle will have the values of the lengths in the ratio of 3, 4, 5, clear. It is also called 3, 4, 5 triangle, right, and this is something which we frequently use in physics, because these are integers. Instead of getting root 3 by 2, 1 by root 2 and parameters like that, this gives us integers, right. So, sin theta will be, what is sin 37 here? Sin 37 degrees will be opposite by hypotenuse, 3 by 5. So, it need not be 3, 4, 5, it can be any lengths in any ratio, I mean any lengths, but in the ratio of 3:5, which means this could be 6, this could be 8, this could be 10. Do you understand that? Or this could be some, let us say 18, this could be 24. What is that? If this is 3, this is 4, then what is 5? This could be 30. You understand what I am saying? So, if the ratios of the lengths are in the ratio of 3:4:5, then it forms a triangle with this angle as 37, this angle as 53 and this angle as 90, clear. So, that is the basic idea. So, you can now quickly resolve this. So, this would be 10 cos 37 and this would be 10 sin 37. So, always remember, adjacent of that angle will be cos and opposite of that angle will be sin. So, that is the way you should remember it, clear. Even when you forget, remember that adjacent side will be cos, opposite side will be sin component. That is it. Now, you can easily write this as 10 into what is cos 37? Cos 37 will be adjacent by hypotenuse, which is 4 by 5. So, 10 into 4 by 5 I cap plus 10 into 3 by 5, sin 37 will be 3 by 5. So, 10 into 3 by 5 j cap. So, that is it. So, the final result would be 8 I cap plus 6 j cap, right students. So, that is it. So, resolution of vector is pretty simple, right. Okay. So, now let us see how we can use this concept of resolution of vectors for adding vectors, right. So, let us directly take an example to understand it. So, please observe here. So, if they have given us two vectors, so let us say one vector is in this direction, it is having a magnitude of 5, making an angle of 37, right. As I told you, I will be using these quite frequently. So, please be aware of these values. Okay. So, this is one vector having a magnitude of 5 and you can see that it is making 37 degrees with positive x axis. Now, this is the second vector, clear. So, this is the second vector and let us say this vector has a magnitude of 5 root 2. The magnitude of this vector is 5 root 2 and it is making an angle of 45 degrees with negative x axis, clear. So, we have two vectors, one vector, two vectors, second vector. Now, we need to add these two vectors and find out, let me write the question, find the resultant or the magnitude of the resultant vector of the resultant vector and also its direction. Okay, so that is the question. So obviously you can use triangle law of addition, the formula which we have derived. This vector is 5 root 2, this vector is 5, correct? And if I substitute that into that expression, I need to know the angle between the vectors, which is, what is this angle? 180 minus 45 minus 37, which is some random value, correct? So it is quite difficult to apply triangle law of addition, the under root of a square plus b square, that term, clear? So see properly, this question becomes very simple if you use the concept of resolution of vectors. So instead of looking at them as two vectors which are at some random directions, break down the vectors. So break this vector, break this vector. Breaking means not this, resolving, clear? So resolve the vectors. So this is one component and this will be the other component, or instead of drawing it here, let me draw it along y axis, that will give us a better idea. So this is one vector and the other vector will be like this, correct? And now I have broken this vector. So this vector is no more present, I have broken it, which means I have already resolved it. So once you resolve this vector, you do not have to forget about this vector, that vector is not there. We have, this vector has been broken down into two components, clear? So that is how you should understand it. Now in the same manner, I will resolve this vector into two components as well. I will drop a perpendicular to understand. So this is one vector which will be in this direction, and the other, okay, let me draw it in the same color. Okay, so this is one vector and the other component will be in this direction. I will drop a perpendicular, the other component will be like this, correct students? Okay. Now you can clearly understand what is the advantage of breaking it down. So now if I have broken this down into two components, so you can see that this is one vector and this is the other vector. Now we have four vectors. We initially had two, after breaking them down now I have four. But the idea of addition becomes very simple now, because all these four vectors are either along x or along y, right? So that makes addition very simple, right? You can easily add them. Let's see how to do that. Now tell me, what will this length be? I am not going to once again repeat everything. You should be by now able to directly do this. When you are moving in the direction of angle cos, away from the angle sine, right? So this length is 5. So what will this length be? 5 cos 37. 5 cos 37 will be 4. So this length will be 4, correct? And this length will be 3. Or see, what I do generally is, whenever I look at a triangle having 37 degrees, I will directly put the smaller angle as, smaller length as 3 and the bigger length as 4, clear? That is one way of easily understanding it. Okay, so this length is 4 and this length is 3, correct? So this is the first vector, it has been broken down. Now similarly second vector, so 5 root 2 when broken down into two components, what will I get? This will be 5 root 2 into cos 45, right? So from here I am moving by 45 degrees, so into cos 45. So what is 5 root 2 into cos 45? 5, right? So that is it, 5. So this would be 5, and okay, let me draw it in an orange. So this would be 5, and what about this? This is also 5, because sin 45, this is 45, so sin 45 will also be 1 by root 2. So I will be getting another 5 over here. That is it. So these are the four vectors. Now you know how to easily add them, right? So these two can be directly added, they are in the same direction. These two when added will give me 8. Understand, I am drawing it bigger because the vector's length should be represented, the vector's magnitude should be represented by the length of the vector. So this is 8, 5 plus 3. Now what is this addition of these two? 5 and 4, 1, right? 5 minus 4 it becomes, because they are in opposite directions. So that would be like this, correct? And the magnitude of this would be 1. Now you can find the resultant of these two. This is also very simple. We can directly say that if you want, you can construct a parallelogram like this, which becomes a rectangle in this scenario. After you construct a parallelogram, the resultant will be like this. Clear, students? So that would be the resultant vector. Clear? And you can easily say that the magnitude of that would be root over 8 square plus 1 square, which is root 65 units. Clear? And if you want to find the angle, it is easy to find the angle also. You can find this angle. So if you call this angle as some alpha, so if that angle is some alpha, can I say that the value of tan alpha, you can look at the triangle. So if you look at this triangle, this vertical line, this horizontal line and this hypotenuse. So if you look at that triangle, tan alpha means opposite by hypotenuse, correct? So opposite is 8, hypotenuse is root 65. So tan alpha is 8 by root 65. But remember, alpha is the angle with negative direction of x axis. Clear, students? So that is the basic idea. So whenever you need to add two vectors in this manner, you can break it down into components and then add them. Clear? It will become very simple, right? So students, now if you see, so if you have two vectors p bar and q bar, so p bar represented as ai cap plus bj cap and q bar represented as ci cap plus dj cap. So now if I ask you what is the sum of the two vectors, so what is p bar plus q bar? What you can do here is, you can directly say that you can add the components of I in both the vectors. So directly add them, you get a plus c I cap, and you directly add the components of the coefficients of j cap. So which is b and d, so plus b plus d j cap. So you can directly do this. Now what is the logic behind that? Why can I directly add the components? So you can see that here. So if I represent the two vectors, so let us say this is p bar and this is q bar. Clear? So let us understand that p bar has components of a along I cap and b along j cap, which means this length is a, correct, and this length is b. That is what it means. Along I it has a length and along y it has b length. That is what it means. Okay. Now similarly q bar has ci cap and dj cap. So along x axis, so from its tail along x axis, along means you do not have to draw a line along x axis, it can be parallel to x axis also, right. So along x axis it has a length of how much? C, and along y axis its component is d. Correct, students? Okay. So now p bar, q bar, and as you can see a, b, c, d. Okay. Now we need to find p bar plus q bar. You know how to do that? If this is p bar and this is q bar, we can say that by using triangle law of addition. By using triangle law of addition, I can directly say that a line which is joining from here till here will be the resultant vector. So this vector will be the resultant. So this will be p bar plus q bar, correct. So I need to find out this vector now. So please observe, this white line which I am drawing is the resultant of p bar, orange vector, and q bar, what color is that? I think rose or pink, whatever. Okay. So q vector. So that is the idea. Fine. So now I need to write p bar plus q bar also in component form, correct. So which means, now observe this long vector, this p bar plus q bar, which is the resultant. Now if I have to write the component of this resultant vector, the method is what? Drop a perpendicular. So if I drop a perpendicular from here, that comes till here, which means this will be the component of p bar plus q bar. Similarly, can I say this will be the other component, correct. Now what is this length? This length is a, correct. This length is c, this one. So which means this whole length will be a plus c. You understand that? Similarly, this length is b, which means this length is b. This length is d, which means this whole length will be b plus d. So that's it. So which means this resultant vector p bar plus q bar, right, this one, its component along x axis has a length of a plus c and its component along y axis has a length of b plus d. So, that is how we can justify this direct addition of their corresponding coefficients. Clear? The same thing is applicable for subtraction also. So, for example, let us say I have given you two vectors, a bar is equal to 3 I cap plus 10 j cap and b bar is equal to I cap minus j cap. Clear? If I ask you to subtract the two vectors, so the difference of these two vectors can be understood as a bar minus b bar. You can directly subtract their coefficients, right. So, 3, this is 1, right, this is also 1, minus 1. So, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 I cap, 10 minus minus 1, which is 10 plus 1, which is 11 j cap. That is it. Clear, students? So, you will directly get the value of a bar minus b bar. Now, if a vector is given like this, so for example, let us say a vector is given like this, ai cap plus bj cap. Let us say p bar is ai cap plus bj cap. Clear? Now, if this is the vector, if I ask you what is the magnitude of this vector, see I know how to resolve. So, if for example, let us say there is a vector of magnitude 10, I can easily resolve if I know the angle. But if they give you the components and ask you what is the magnitude of the resultant, what will you do? This is very simple also, right. See, if this length is a and this length is b, I am representing p bar, right. So, p bar, let us say this is p, has a component along x axis which is a and a component along y axis which is b. Now, what is the magnitude of p? You can easily look at the triangle because this is 90 degrees, this is a, this is b, this will be root over a square plus b square, correct. So, that is it. So, whenever a vector is given to you in this manner, you can directly say that the magnitude of this vector, which is mod p bar, is nothing but root over a square plus b square. Clear, students? Similarly, if the vector here is c I cap plus d j cap, you can directly say that the magnitude of this vector is mod q bar, which is equal to root over c square plus d square. Do you understand that? See, what we are doing here when we are taking square root of c square plus d square is nothing but using Pythagoras rule. One is along x, the other is along y, and we need to find the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse will be the magnitude of that vector, correct. So, whenever any vector is given to you, for example, if I ask you, I gave you these two vectors and I ask you what is the magnitude of the difference of two vectors, magnitude of difference of two vectors. So, what will you do? First you find the difference of two vectors by normal subtraction, clear, and then you find the magnitude of that vector. So, what is the magnitude of the difference which is represented like this, which is equal to, what is the magnitude? Root over 4 plus 11 gives you 121, right. So, root over 4 plus 121, which is root 125, which is, if you simplify, you have 5 into 25. So, 5 root 5 units. Clear, students? So, remember what I am asking you here. I am asking you what is the magnitude of difference of two vectors. See, I am not asking you what is the difference of magnitudes. If I ask you what is the difference of magnitudes, what should you do? You will find the magnitude of this, you will find the magnitude of this, and then find the difference of the two magnitudes. But what am I asking here? What is the magnitude of what? Which vector? Difference of those two vectors. So, first I found the difference, and then whichever vector I got, I am finding its magnitude. Clear? So, whenever a vector is given to you in this form, you can easily find the magnitude of that vector. Is that clear? Or you can easily add the vectors, subtract the vectors. So, that is the basic idea. And one more important thing is to find the angle that a vector makes. So, let us do a general understanding for that. So, whenever we have a vector, let us say which is given by a bar is equal to ai cap plus bj cap. So, if a vector is given to us in this manner, ai cap plus bj cap. If I need to find the angle, we know the magnitude, we know that a is equal to root over a square plus b square. That is pretty simple, right? The magnitude of this vector is root over a square plus b square. If I ask you what is the direction of that vector, what is the direction of this vector? So, first try to understand it like this. So, this is our original vector whose component along x is a and component along y is b. So, if I ask you what is the angle, you can take this angle as alpha and you can directly write the value of tan alpha is equal to opposite b by adjacent a. So, b by a, which means alpha is equal to tan inverse of b by a. So, that is how we should understand a vector which is given to us in component form. So, if a vector is given to us like this, so you can get two informations from that vector. One is its magnitude root over a square plus b square, and the other one is its angle. How do you find the angle if a vector is like this? You can find it by using this expression, tan alpha, which is the angle it makes with positive x axis, which is equal to coefficient of j by coefficient of I. Clear? So, whatever you get here, that would be the angle. Students, let us solve a question now. So, they have given two vectors a bar and b bar, and they are asking us to find out this is magnitude of 2a bar plus 3b bar. That is the first question, and second one is 2 times magnitude of a bar plus 3 times magnitude of b bar. So, first understand what is the difference between these two. Clear? Here we are first finding the magnitude of a, multiplying it with 2, finding the magnitude of b, multiplying it with 3, and then adding the two scalars. This is a scalar, it is just magnitude, and this is also a scalar, which is just the magnitude, correct? But here what we are doing, we are first adding the vectors, which means we are first finding 2a bar, we are finding 3b bar, we have two vectors, we are adding the vectors, finding the resultant vector, then we are going to find the magnitude of that. Clear? So, let us do the first question. So, what is 2a bar? Let me write that down first. 2a bar is equal to twice of this. You can directly multiply the coefficients, right? So, 2i cap minus 4j cap. Clear? Now, what is 3b bar? 3b bar will be 3 into this, which will give me 6i cap plus 9j cap. Clear, students? So, see, why I have directly multiplied, this is also something which you will have to understand. See, everything will have a logic, do not just accept anything blindly. Clear, just because I told you we can multiply. So, you should question why, I mean you can't question now obviously, but you will have to think for yourself. Clear? So, why are we multiplying here? What does multiplication mean? See, the idea is pretty simple. See, if you have a vector like this, and if these are the two components of that vector, clear, this and this. So, if let us say I am multiplying that with 2, what does that mean? I am talking about a vector which is having twice the magnitude. Now, when I resolve this vector also in this manner, can I say that this length will be the component of that? If this is small vector is a bar, then this big vector will be 2a bar, correct? Now, if this small vector has this as a small, the x component, can I say that this big vector will have this as the component once again, correct? For this big vector, this will be the component. Now, can I definitely say that if this length is half of this length, then this length will be half of this length? Do you understand what I am saying? I am just using the concept of similar triangles. This length by this length is 1 by 2, which means this length by this length will also be 1 by 2. So, if this vector is twice of this, then the component of that vector will also be equal to twice of the component of that vector. That is what we are doing, clear? So, if I am multiplying with 2 here, we can multiply each of the coefficients also with 2. The reason for that comes from similar triangles. Okay. Now, let us find out the required thing, which is 2a bar plus 3b bar, which is equal to add them 8i cap. Here you have plus 5j cap. Now, you can easily find the magnitude of this. The magnitude of this vector can be written as root over 8 square plus 5 square, which is 64 plus 25, which is root 89 units. Clear, students? So, similarly second question. So, this is the first one. So, second question, 2 times magnitude of A bar. So, this is pretty simple, 2 times magnitude of A. What is magnitude of A? Root over 1 square plus 2 square, right, plus 3 times magnitude of B. So, 3 times the magnitude of the second vector, which is 2 square plus 3 square, which is 4 plus 9, 13. Yeah, you can leave it like that, there is nothing much to simplify there. 2 root 5, 3 root 13. 2 root 5 plus 3 root 13 units. Clear? So, that should be the answer. Okay, so that is the idea, students. Now, we will move on and we will discuss about a particular vector called position vector. So, this is a very important vector. We will be using this vector in our next topic itself, which is kinematics, right. We will be starting off kinematics with the discussion of position vector. So, I will just give you a brief idea here of what a position vector is. Okay. So, let us say we have an xy plane and you are at this position, let us say this is the position where you are, clear. So, this is let us say some x comma y. Now, position vector basically means a vector which tells the position of a particular point with respect to another point. So, for example, let us say I have taken this position as my reference. Clear? So, this is my reference. So, if I draw a line from my reference point to this position, so this vector, let us call this point as P and this point as O. So, this vector which I have here, this is called position vector of P with respect to O. Clear? So, that is what it means, that is how we define it, that is what we mean by a position vector. Now, if you observe closely, if I have to write this position vector in component form, what will I do? I will drop a perpendicular like this, and if this point has a coordinates of x comma y, can I say that this length is x and this length is y? So, this is x, this is y, which means position vector of P with respect to O, can I write it as x I cap plus y j cap, correct, students? Okay. Now, observe closely, let me first represent this vector. Position vector of P with respect to O is this, and you know how to write this, right? This point is O and this point is P. So, I can write it as OP bar from O to P, correct. So, OP bar can be written as xi cap plus yj cap. Now, let me ask you a slightly modified form of the same question. So, this time I will mark 2 points. So, one point is let us say at this position. So, let us call it as P, and let us say another point is over here. So, this is Q, okay. So, P and Q. So, now just like I have defined position vector of P with respect to O, if I have to define position vector of P with respect to Q, see, position vector basically means what? It is a vector which tells us at how much distance something is and at how much angle it is or in which direction it is. See, for example, let us say I have this chalk, right. So, if I place my chalk like this, so I can say that the position vector of chalk with respect to me is this much length in this direction, and that can be understood by drawing a vector like this, right. So, if I tell you, if I give you the information about this vector, it means that you know at what distance that chalk is present from me and in which direction the chalk is. So, if the chalk is here, I will draw a line from here to here and give that line to you. By looking at that line, you will understand that okay, that chalk is at this much distance and it is in this direction. So, that is the use of a position vector, clear. It gives us the information about a particular position with respect to some other position, right. So, P, Q. So, let us consider that this point P has coordinates of x2 comma y2 and Q has coordinates of x1 comma y1. Clear, students? So now if I ask you what is the position vector of P with respect to Q, I am obviously asking you to find out this vector, correct, right? So if I have to find this vector, how do I do that? So what I am going to do now, please observe carefully. So this is O, right? So I will draw a line from O to P, which means I am finding the position vector of P with respect to O, and we know how to do that, right? We know how to represent that. I can directly write OP bar is equal to, which means this vector can be written as x2 I cap plus y2 j cap. So the component of this along x will be x2, the component of this along y will be y2, right? So I can write this as x2 I cap plus y2 j cap, correct? Now similarly, I will draw one more vector like this. So once again please observe carefully, I am drawing this vector. Now what have I drawn here? I have drawn position vector of Q with respect to O, correct? So position vector of Q with respect to O. So from O to Q. Now what is this vector in component form? The coordinates of this point is x1 comma y1. So if I use the same logic which I have used earlier, so if the coordinates of a point is x comma y, then the position vector from origin with respect to origin is xi cap plus yj cap. So for x1 comma y1, what will these components be? This vector plus this vector, what will that be? That will be x1 I cap plus y1 j cap, correct? Now using these two vectors, this one and this one, I am now going to find our actual vector which we need. So let me represent the actual vector which we need with a different color. So this is the vector which we need, the vector which joins P and Q, right? So this is the vector we are looking for. Now for finding this vector, I am going to use this vector and this vector. Now what should I do? By using this vector and this vector, what should I do to get this vector? If I add these two, will I get this? What should I do? If I subtract these two, will I get this? Yes. Because if you can see clearly that there is a triangle formed here, and if you use the triangle concept, so just go with the displacement concept. If I move from here to here, that plus if I move from here to here, this, so this plus this will be equal to this, correct? That is how we understand triangle of addition, which means, so this vector plus our required vector will give me this vector. Let me write it down here so that it is clear. OQ bar plus QP bar is equal to OP bar, correct, students? Which means if I simplify this, I get QP bar is equal to, what is QP bar? OP bar minus OQ bar. Done. So that's it. So I have OP bar, I have OQ bar, I'll just subtract them, I'll find QP bar which we need. So QP bar is equal to the difference of these two, and we know how to find the difference of these two. So that is nothing but x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap. That's it. So this is our required QP bar, which means I found out where P is with respect to Q, and for doing that the information that I need is what? The position of P with respect to origin, the position of Q with respect to origin, and if I subtract those two vectors, I will be getting the position of P with respect to Q. Clear, students? Now the reason why I have told you this is because, see, this is something which you would have learnt in your lower classes. If you have 2 points x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2, what is the distance between these 2 points? You would have learned this, right? So you would have studied it as root over x2 square, x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So you would have Seen this result? Now that result can be understood from this also. How? So whatever result which we have derived here, so please look at this QP bar closely. QP bar means the line joining Q and P. Can I say the magnitude of this vector is the distance between Q and P, right? And the line joining Q and P is represented in component form like this. So what is the magnitude of this vector? Are we getting this result or not? The magnitude of this vector is nothing but root over coefficient of I cap whole square plus coefficient of j cap whole square, which is exactly this expression. Correct, students? So that is how we can use the concept of vectors even to find distance between the 2 points. So the distance between this point and this point can be directly understood by first finding the vector joining them. So if you know the vector joining 2 points, then the magnitude of that vector is the length of the line joining the 2 points. Clear? And one more thing is that, so if you have to find out the vector, all you have to do is please observe this result which we got here. So this is the first point and this is the second point. So this vector is nothing but the difference in their coordinates, x coordinates I cap plus difference in their y coordinates j cap. Clear? See, I generally remember it like this. So if I have to find out the vector joining this position and this position, I will think of it as initial position, final position, correct? Vector is in this direction. So initial, final. So final coordinates minus initial coordinates and the corresponding I cap j cap. So x2 minus x1 I cap, y2 minus y1 j cap. Is that clear, students? So that will give you the position of a point with respect to another point. So as I told you, we will just learn about how to represent position vector now. We will be dealing with position vectors and why we need position vectors in the next chapter in kinematics. Clear? So that is the idea. So students, what that basically means is that, so if you have 2 points P and Q, the coordinates are a comma b and c comma d, you can directly write the expression for line joining or the vector joining the 2 positions, right. So look at the initial position and final position clearly and write the coordinates like this. So a bar is equal to final coordinates minus initial coordinates multiplied by their corresponding unit vectors. So c minus a I cap, c is final, a is initial, I cap plus d minus b j cap. Clear? So if you have to find the magnitude of that vector, you will find the resultant, right, root over this square plus this square. So that is the basic idea. Clear? And so today you might get questions based on vectors which are in this form also. Let us say vectors which are represented by a bar is equal to I cap plus 3j cap minus 2j cap and so on. So do not worry about this third term. I have only discussed about 2-dimensional vectors in this class. So 3-dimensional vectors we will discuss in next class. Clear? So but the operations you can easily understand. So whatever, whether you are given a vector represented only in I cap and j cap. So if the vector is in this plane, in the xy plane like this. So if the vector is like this, then it will have only 2 components, x and y. But if the vector is out of the plane, something like this, then it will have a component along x, along y and along z also. So that is what this third term means. So we will discuss about that 3-dimensional vectors in the next class. But as I told you, the additions, subtractions and all the other concepts which we discussed today can be directly applied for a 3-dimensional vector also. Clear? So if you get questions based on these 3-dimensional vectors, you can solve them. Clear? Additions and subtractions, right, and finding the magnitude. So for this, the magnitude would be root over 1 square plus 3 square plus 2 square. Clear? And I will tell you the reason for that, how we got that result in the next class. Clear?